today at the Talamore Teaching Center, which means Lou Guzzi, one of the top teachers in America, is going to be with us.
I want 30 minutes, if I can get it on the driving range, 15 minutes on the putting green.
Now you said about just
And then I'll start working it towards the hole. And even when I hit the shots towards the hole, Harry, I don't finish the putts yet.
You know, he picks the questions, he answers the questions he wants. There are no questions about Hank Haney in the book. They're the questions that he wants to answer.
Hi everybody, welcome to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank. I'm Harry Donahue today at the Talamore Teaching Center, which means Lou Guzzi, one of the top teachers in America, is going to be with us. And you know, sometimes you don't have a lot of time to get ready for a round of golf. Lou's going to break it down, whether you have a little bit of time or a lot of time, what you should be working on. Back with Lou Guzzi and practice tips as Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank, continues in just a moment. Ooh, yes.
One way, I was a hanger.
Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank. Susquehanna Bank, doing what counts. By Club Champion, better fit, lower scores. Now open in Ballackinwood. By Southwest Greens, the Pro Knows. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf.
In 1916, a small group of dedicated golfers decided to turn their passion into a business. And the PGA of America was born. Our plan was to teach golf and to run golf courses. But along the way, we learned we taught something much more valuable than a game. And we built something far more enduring than clubhouses or fairways. So now, after almost 100 years, we've come to realize that what we thought would be a success story has always been, and always will be, a love story. From the 28,000 dedicated professionals at the PGA of America to the 27 million men, women, and children who share the passion that is our business. Thank you.
See the angle of that shaft? John Watson calls this the secret to the swing. As we go through.
Welcome back. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank, continues with Lou Guzzi. We're at the Talamore Teaching Center. He's the former Teacher of the Year in the Philadelphia section. Lou, last time I was here, we were feeding your wood-burning stove, trying to warm up. Here we are. It's nice and warm. Well, pretty warm.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I'm in a short sleeve shirt.
Right. I got my
fleece on.
Susquehanna Bank windbreaker, and we're talking about how to prepare for a round of golf. And as I see it, now a professional sometimes has the luxury of knowing their tee time, getting to an event maybe an hour or so ahead of time,
That's right.
getting out on the range and going through the routine. But for a lot of guys, whether they're playing at a country club or playing at a public course, Lou, they're running. They're on the run right from the parking lot, change the shoes, get the bag. If they have time, they have 10 minutes before their tee time. So they're either going to do it via the microwave, or maybe if they have an extended period of time, they can afford the luxury of a couple more swings. If they're faced with 5 minutes, what's the best way to get ready to go out there and hit that first tee shot?
Well, one thing they can do right off the bat is just stretch. You know, if they don't have a lot of time and they have a few balls to hit, maybe just some soft swings, Harry, maybe at about 50, 60%. Last thing you want to do is get hurt before you even get to the first tee. 5 minutes is not going to give them enough time to really see where their ball's going, get an idea of their swing, and get a feel. So a little bit of stretching. If you can hit 5 balls before you get to the first tee, by all means do it, but tough way to start out for sure.
Absolutely, and when you say hit 5 balls, now I know I've been in that situation. I want to pick up the club that I'm going to have in my hand for that first shot. So obviously it's a driver. Does that make sense then?
It would be at that point. You know, during a regular warm-up session, I give myself 1 hour from the point where I'm going to tee off. I want to drive into the parking lot. I want to relax, get the clubs out. Be careful, folks, how you get the clubs out of the back of the car, for sure, so you don't throw your back out.
Don't want to break those shafts either,
yes,
right?
Use the pelvic tilt. But I like an hour. I need probably 10 to 15 minutes between checking in, maybe going to the bathroom, warming up. I want 30 minutes, if I can get it, on the driving range, 15 minutes on the putting green.
Now you said about just stretch. If you don't have any time, just do that. What would be, say, a series of stretching exercises that you would do to try to maximize that short period of time?
Yeah, there's a couple of things right off the bat with your driver. You can take the driver and just put it right out in front of your body and just move forward and try to give your arms a good stretch and go from side to side. Feel that action. The great Tom Watson stretches for 15 minutes before he even hits a ball. And he basically starts out, again, trying to get those shoulders loose and moving back and forth, and it's a nice slow stretch. One of my favorites, Harry, is just taking the club. It's kind of a combination here. We actually get a 2-for-1. We can do the stretch and also work on our spine angle with our swing. So I'll start out like this and just nice and slow bring it back and feel that rotation and that stretch. Slowly go through and try to rotate as much as I can, nice and slow. Then I'm going to do the same stretch, folks, in posture. See the angle of that shaft? Tom Watson calls this the secret to the swing. As we go through, same angle on the other side, and then we come up out of it, and bingo, we're getting a 2-for-1 there with a stretch and working on spine angle.
Okay, once again, if we're in the microwave, we don't have a lot of time. Maybe it's your driver. You would start off with maybe just a 50%. You're not trying to hit it as far as you can, maybe not even as straight as you can. What are you trying to do with those 4 or 5 swings to get you ready for that round of golf?
Well, the great Jack Nicklaus said, you know, no matter what technique you use, if you can't feel the head of the golf club, you're not going to be a really good player. So one of the things I'll do if I only have 5 swings is obviously trying to get loose, maybe go at 60, 70%, and just be very aware of the feel of the club. Harry, I'll hit one.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like to warm up like this, I've also been in the same position just like everybody else, and I'll make a nice smooth practice swing, and I'm going to go at what I feel is about maybe 60, 70% of a full swing. And that little swing right there, folks, hit the ball about 220. So I might do 2 or 3 of those, and then, you know, if I feel warmed up, maybe 2 more swings, putting a little more swing speed into it, and see if we can get that ball flight we're looking for before we go to the first tee.
Now that's the microwave version of preparation time. If you have an extended period of time, you talked about an hour.
That's right.
So after you do your stretching for whatever, what is the first club you put in your hand?
For me, and most of your tour players, it's going to be a wedge. And it
And
could
why
be
is
a
that,
lob
do you
wedge, a pitching wedge, a sand wedge. It's, you know, I look at it like a basketball player just hitting some layups. It's a short club with a lot of loft. I'm not honing in on a specific target. I'll just look at an area where I want to drop the balls into the range. And I'll just start, basically in my world, make little small swings, what I call level 1, and then I'll make a full finish. So I'll make a level 1 backswing, full finish, then work with the same club, and then work to a full swing. Then start working down and eventually get to the big dog. That takes about maybe 10, 15 minutes.
That's all.
That's all.
And you're ready to go.
And when I'm working with the big dog, I'm looking for the shape and all the clubs that I want, and I start as I start to get warmed up, I start to think about that first tee.
That's when you start honing in on
Yes.
getting ready for that first shot.
Yeah, I'll bring
So-
that first tee right here to the driving range.
Okay, so you'll start, I have a pitching, you'll start with the pitching wing, then you'll jump down maybe to what, a 7?
Yeah,
8
you know,
iron?
it could be 8 iron, 6 iron, for me 4 iron, and then I'll get into the driver.
Okay.
And then if I have enough time, I'll even hit a few chips, even here on the driving range, just to feel the chipping and maybe even the pitching technique. But most of the pitching technique's done in the beginning.
Now, something else I thought of, sometimes do you visualize near the end of hitting the big dog what that first hole is that you're going to be playing? And 9 times out of 10, you have an idea what that hole looks like.
Sure.
So you're saying, okay, you almost reenact it. This is
That's
my
right.
first tee shot. You get ready for when it really counts.
Yeah, whatever your shape is at that point. Folks, if you want to hit a right to left shot and you're on the range and you're hitting a left to right shot, if it's 10 yards, I think at that point you've got to start seeing a 10-yard fade. Bring that first tee right to the range, work the 10-yard fade, and then you're prepared when you get to the first tee.
You know, my wife's going to kill me for saying this. She's a big note taker. She writes down notes to herself all the time. It's not a bad idea. And let's face it, you know, people have the smartphones and everything like that with the notepads. So maybe jot down a few things the day ahead of time. Hey, keep this in mind when we have a short period of time, because sometimes that's when you're at your worst. You're trying to do too many things. Just bring out the old smartphone, look at the notepad and say, I want to do 3 things here that Lou Guzzi just mentioned. Stretch, workout if you don't have the time with the big dog and the whole visualization for that first hole.
Absolutely.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, Hogan talked about taking notes in his book, 5 Lessons, The Modern Fundamentals of Golf. Shows himself writing down the information. It's a great idea, folks.
All right, we'll be back. We'll continue with preparation. We're going to watch Lou here as he says goodbye to the driving range and the practice range, and then we'll mosey on over to the putting green. See how those greens are cut and how your ball is rolling. We'll be back with Lou Guzzi at Talamore as Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank, continues in just a moment.
Defining a target, realizing a dream. Susquehanna Bank can help you get your plans off the ground. Whether you're sending kids to college or doing something special for yourself. Susquehanna's financial advisors are worth talking to. We can help you find the smartest way to borrow money and save money in the process. Susquehanna Bank, doing what counts for dreamers like you. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At this moment, across the country, families are packing their bags for a getaway. And no matter where they end up, they'll all be home by dinner. Plan your own at playgolfamerica.com. From finding fun and affordable programs to finding advice from PGA and LPGA professionals, playgolfamerica.com has a way for you to get away. Visit today for details. playgolfamerica.com, your link to the game.
Welcome back to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank. Lou Guzzi is with us. We're at his Talamore Teaching Center. And Lou, we began today's show talking about the warm-up, whether you have a lot of time, not so much time. If you have a lot of time, driver, a couple irons, and then everybody says, okay, I'm ready for the putting green. But they may be forgetting something.
That's right, chipping. And you know, sometimes we don't have the luxury of going to a chipping green. So we're on the range. There's nothing wrong with getting your sand wedge, hitting a few chips, pick a spot on the range, even if it's on the tee here, and just send some chips out there so you can feel your chipping stroke.
I was going to say, just to get a sense, a feel.
That's right.
For what you're going to encounter sooner or later out there over 18 holes.
That's right. And if you want to pick a spot to land the ball, no problem. That's your intermediate target. Send about 4 or 5 chips out there and you'll feel a lot better when you miss that green and you need to chip.
All right, so now we're ready for the putting green. Lou, as promised, we've made it here to the putting green.
We
and
have.
The question I have, now assume you have a lot of time, 10 minutes before you tee off. You bring a sleeve of balls and your putter here. Do you practice first thing the short putts, or do you practice medium, or do you take it back for the long lag putts?
That's right. I've got 3 golf balls and I've got about 10, 15 minutes to work on the game here on the putting green. I don't want to go up to a 5 or 6 foot putt, drop the balls down, and then start working on the stroke. I've got to warm the stroke up just like I warm up the swing.
So you take it back?
Yeah, I'm going to take it back, and I'm not even going to putt at the hole. The first thing I would do is just roll the ball towards the fringe. I'm trying to warm up the stroke. I'm trying to get a consistency to the way the blade goes basically back and through, and then I'm feeling the speed of the green.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Give me an idea what that looks like then.
Trying to get a fairly flat spot, Harry.
Yeah, and here, this may be the most undulated practice
Yeah.
green I've ever seen at Talamore.
It's something else. There's no doubt
you got
about
elevations, rolls, everything.
it. Yeah, if you can putt the greens here at Talamore, you're going to be a great putter.
You can take it to St. Andrews.
Very challenging, and we love it that way. So I'm looking at the fringe. I've got a little right to left breaker, and all
So
I'm
you're
trying
not
to
even
do,
going to the hole. You're just going
Yeah.
right over there to the fringe.
Yep, just going to feel the green, feel the stroke. Keep my head absolutely still during the stroke, and then just try to get it as close as I can to the fringe. So I'll hit 3 balls. Usually I'll do 3 to 6 balls going to the fringe, and then I'll start working it towards the hole. And even when I hit the shots towards the hole, Harry, I don't finish the putts yet. I'm not going to work on short putts until I've warmed up the stroke. And then when I finally get to the short putts, I'm basically going to start out with a 1-foot putt. And then I'm going to work back at that point 2 feet, 3 feet. So I'm going to get the speed of the green. I'm going to warm up the stroke.
And then start short and work it back.
Start short and work it back. Jack Nicklaus, right before he went out to play, the great Jackie Burke and Steve Elkington talking about this, basically said that Nicklaus would warm up, and then right before he was ready to go to the first tee, he'd hit 1 to 2 foot putts and knock it right in the hole, because he wanted to leave the putting green hearing that ball go into the hole, and folks, no head movement.
Well, you know, the other thing I was just going to bring up is superstition. Are you superstitious? Does that last putt or two, do you say to yourself, I have to make it, I'm not leaving here unless I make the last 2 putts?
You know,
Or are we just being too quirky?
I think that if you're a foot away from the hole and you're not making the last 2 putts, you're in trouble anyway. So
Maybe you should go to the locker
yeah,
room.
you might as well just
or
go
the
tee
grill.
off. Yeah, well, that's maybe
and
a
have
good.
a better time.
Yeah.
Hey, you were telling me before we went on about a project that you're involved with Golf Magazine. I know you've been a contributing editor. You've done articles on Golf Magazine and .com.
That's right.
But this is something special. Share it with us.
It's a pretty interesting project. The first for me, folks. We went to New York. They took photographs. Chapter 1 of the book. It's called Golf Magazine's Big Book of Basics. It's going to be coming out in October. Grip, posture, stance, and pre-shot routine. So we're right in the middle of going back and forth with the editing. They took hundreds of pictures. It was an absolutely wonderful opportunity, and I look forward to everybody getting one of those books.
And you're in the first chapter. You're the
Chapter
lead-off
1.
guy.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you how.
You better be good, Lou.
I'm telling you, I'm a little nervous about it because there's got to be a little flexibility with how to hold on to that club, and there's flexibility with posture and stance. So I'm definitely giving us a little wiggle room here for getting comfortable and giving the audience certainly a chance to feel what's best for them.
And when that gets out there, you come up to Talamore and the Lou Guzzi's Teaching Center, you're going to see tour pros here. They're going to read that book and they're going to say, I got to meet the guy who's responsible for all this.
I'll tell you what, I can't wait to read the book myself because there's going to be a lot of great top 100 teachers in that book, and they're going to be continuing off of chapter 1, and it's going to be a great book to put on the coffee table and read through the winter.
You know, I'm just glad that Inside Golf can say, we knew Lou Guzzi when. My friend, always a pleasure.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for your tips about getting ready, whether you have the time or not too much time, for your next round of golf. Lou Guzzi here at Talamore. We'll be back. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank, continues with Teed Off in just a moment.
Everything was perfect on that side.
It's time light beer got some character. 99 calories, 100% authentic lager. Yingling Light Lager from America's oldest brewery. Rethink your light beer.
Guests of Inside Golf enjoy dining at Sin Sin, the popular Asian fusion restaurant located on Germantown Avenue in the heart of scenic Chestnut Hill.
And now it's time for Teed Off, brought to you by Yingling, America's oldest brewery.
Because he could just swat them over the net.
Welcome back. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank, continues with Teed Off today. We're at the Tilted Kilt, right on Route 202, King of Prussia, adjacent to the mall. Tilted Kilt, one of 70 Tilted Kilts around the country. 50 TVs, 2 bars, complimentary parking, specials every day. It's the Tilted Kilt, where, as they say, a cold beer never looked so good. Our panel today, Joe Logan from myphillygolf.com. From the Philadelphia Inquirer, golf writer, writes about just about everything that's published in the Inquirer, Joe Giuliano.
Everything.
And a man that talks about everything on Golf Talk Live every Saturday on WNTP, Tony Leodora. Recently, Tiger Woods and his people decided that Tiger was going to answer a series of questions, Joe, on his website. Now, each question had a name attached to it. For instance, this is from Tony, this is from Joe. Didn't say where they're from. Most of the questions weren't exactly hard-hitting. Some, in fact, were very commercially oriented about what kind of clubs or what he drinks on the golf course, that sort of thing. The idea, though, upset a lot of people, especially some of your fellow golf writers, over the possibility that this was going to become a precedent. So rather than taking questions and giving answers at a tour event or a major, he was going to take it in that very convenient and almost couched format of doing it on his website. What do you think?
Very safe. Very safe.
Very safe.
Somebody said it wasn't like he took softball questions. It was like he took volleyball questions because he could just swat them over the net. You know, it was awful. It was an awful video. The questions
the quality was not that good.
The
Looked
questions
like a hostage
were.
video.
It did.
Yeah, the questions were nothing really. I mean, the only thing you learned out of those 19 questions, and I counted every one, was that he talked about how his posture was just a little off at the Masters, and that's why he didn't do as well as he should have done. Now, the posture at future tournaments, who knows what's going to happen, but really, just having the people, answering questions from the people, and taking the softball questions. I mean, you mean to tell me that no average citizen wanted to ask him about the Hank Haney thing, or about his relationship with Stevie Williams,
Or throwing a club.
Or throwing a club. I mean, come on. It sets a very poor precedent.
Yeah.
Very poor.
Joe, are you concerned about it or what?
I am concerned about it. And Joe, by saying that the only thing we learned was his posture, you are totally forgetting the question from a fan about what's your favorite major trophy? And he said the
Claret jug.
The claret jug.
It was yelling until
Right.
all that happened.
What's worrisome about this is that this is obviously Tiger steering clear of the media. He picks the questions, he answers the questions he wants. There are no questions about Hank Haney in the book. They're the questions that he wants to answer. You can't blame him. But is this what's going to be Tiger's relationship with going forward with the media? Clearly, he has a chilly relationship right now, and has since the big crack up in his life. We'll see.
The funny thing is, though, he looked as barely more interested answering those questions than he does answering our questions.
Yes.
Well, whether the questions are asked anonymously and answered on his website, or even in some of his media conferences, and you've been to them, we've all been to them. I mean, the man likes to be in control of everything. And if you ask a question that he doesn't like, he's not going to answer it.
There's no question about that.
Right?
First off, the thing about his posture was ridiculous. I watched that over and over again. His posture when he kicked that club was absolutely perfect. He followed through with the leg, the back was straight, everything was perfect on that, so I don't know what they were talking about. Secondly, yeah, it is disgusting to see the erosion of the traditional journalistic athlete relationship in terms of answering questions. Tiger wants to be known as the greatest golfer in the world. Jack Nicklaus has that title today, then he should be more like Jack. Not that Jack doesn't get cranky at times, but we all know. Every one of his press conferences, he answered question after question, and when he was done, he hung around. Everybody came up, and he answered the last question of anybody.
Half the time he turned out the lights when he left.
But the playing field has changed dramatically with social networking, with websites, with Twitter, with everything else that's going on. I can see his people saying, let's see where we can use this to our advantage.
Well, let's not get carried. I mean, he's the only guy in golf that does this, that has done this. No one else in golf has done this. And I can't really see. Oh, no, in sports it happens a lot. Professional basketball players, not Q&As, but basketball players or hockey players or baseball players or football players who will give a statement through Twitter, and that's it. Oh, can I get a comment from you? No. I've already said something on Twitter. I've already said something on Facebook. No one in golf has done this yet, and hopefully no one will. I can't see Phil Mickelson ever doing this, or Rory McIlroy, but he's only, 22? So
they do have Twitter accounts.
No, they do have Twitter accounts,
yeah,
but
they're all staged and written by somebody that wouldn't know Rory McIlroy from Joe Logan.
This is genuine.
This is Tiger showing he can do this.
Especially when he writes about his girlfriend.
And I think the big winner in all of this was the Tiger Woods website, because I'm sure it got a lot of attention, a lot of hits from people that never went to the Tiger Woods website before.
Like me.
And it remains to be seen how it's going to be used. All right, let's go to the bar. Ellen Cloutier is with one of the patrons here at the Tilted Kilt, who has a question for Joe Logan.
Thanks very much, Harry. We're here at the bar with Doug Kent of Collegeville. Doug, what is your question for Joe Logan?
Joe, who's the best golf writer that you've played golf with?
Oh, well, among the full-time serious golf writers, it's probably a toss-up between Gary Van Sickle from Sports Illustrated, who is a scratch player, and Jaime Diaz, the new editor who co-wrote Hank Haney's book, who played golf at the University of San Francisco. He's a very good player. There are a couple of guys who write books that are former PGA pros like Steve Eubanks, but I'll go with Gary Van Sickle.
Okay, and notice he didn't say Mike Kern. Well,
Kern can throw a club better than any of these guys.
I'm glad you got Mike mentioned there.
Right.
That's it for Teed Off. Inside Golf presented by Susquehanna Bank continues in just a moment.
Hi, my name's Nicole. Come visit us at the Tilted Kilt in King of Prussia, where we have over 24 beers on draft, and where a cold beer never looks so good.
The Tilted Kilt Pub and Eatery. Great food, cold beer, and lots of varieties. A Celtic pub with amazing atmosphere, fantastic sports entertainment, and most of all, beautiful cast members.
Come see us.
In a crowd of light beers, how long does it take to find the Yingling Light Lager? About that long. 99 calories, 100% authentic lager. Yingling Light Lager. Rethink your light beer.
Early mornings, late nights, and way too many takeout dinners. Running a business takes energy, determination, and sacrifice. And whether you're a startup, well-established, or somewhere in between, the people of Susquehanna Bank have the knowledge to help you succeed. From cash management solutions to the benefits of local loan decisions, we help keep your business moving ahead. Susquehanna Bank, doing what counts for businesses like yours. Member FDIC.
For more golf course tours, swing tips, and deals on greens fees, check out the new teeituphilly.com.
How many times have you been on a green, drawing around the golf, and you say, gee, I never had a chance to practice with such break or undulation? This green here, you go to all the undulation you want to practice, right, Lou?
You bet.
Give me an example.
Well, there's a little bit of Scotland right here in this green, Harry, and I love trying to hit some unusual putts, and this one's got a lot of break to it, probably about maybe 15, 20 feet.
Off the slope. Next stop, the hole, almost. That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank. I want to thank Lou Guzzi. Always a pleasure to be with Lou and his tips today on getting ready for your average round of golf. And if you'd like to get in touch with Lou, you can do so through our website, InsideGolf.net. Next week, we begin our annual spring and summer trip to the Pocono Mountains at Hideaway Hills.
Here we are at number 10, 538-yard par 5. Probably one of the most talked about holes here at Hideaway. It's definitely a risk-reward par 5. As you can see, the view behind me is spectacular. The conditioning is also spectacular. It's one of those holes that everybody comes into the restaurant afterwards and talks about.
And Jack Frost National.
The golf course is beautiful, as you can see just from behind us. There's amazing views and vistas out there, and it's also very playable. So that's what the #1 selling point we tell people. It can accommodate players of all ability levels. It's 7,300 yards from the tip, so if you're a really great player, this course will test you in every way possible. If you're an amateur golfer, high handicapper, we can also accommodate you there too, because we have 5 sets of tee boxes. So no matter what your skill level is, we can take care of you here.
I'm Harry Donahue, and remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up. We'll see you next time on Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank.
Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Bank. Susquehanna Bank, doing what counts. By Club Champion, better fit, lower scores. Now open in Ballackinwood. By Southwest Greens, the Pro Knows. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf.